What can we do because he lives? What does it mean to us because he lives? And I'm laying there, and the Lord's dealing with me on this sermon. And I'm thinking about it, and the next day, I get in there because, I'm seeing a correlation here. And I get a phone call. And it's Jeff. And he says, Jim, hey, you got someplace I can stay for a couple of days? I says, well, let me talk to Nora. We'll see about it. And I put the phone down and says, Nora, Jeff wants to come on over for a little bit. He needs a place to stay. And, the way things are going, I think we ought to let him. And Nora says, well, when was the last time you saw Jeff? I says, I don't know. I think I saw him for about 15 minutes in the 80s sometime. I can't remember. I says, but I really think the Lord's dealing with me on this. She says, go ahead and call him, tell him, come on over. So I called him and come on over, and I says, Lord, you got to tell me if I'm on the right path here. So, I go ahead and read my Bible, and first thing I do is I open up to Luke 19. And when I open up a Bible, I usually go right from the middle. I open up the Psalms or Proverbs. And that's generally where I like to stay, because I love the Proverbs, and David's Psalms are immeasurable. But I opened up to Luke 19, and I read it, and it's talking about if you're willing to give good gifts unto your children, how much more are you willing to give, am I to give to you? And it's talking about giving. And I'm going, Lord? And I says, okay, I think I get the picture here. I think I'm on the right path. And, it's just weird how that works, So he says, you need to go out and help people. That's our job, go out and help people. And just that day, and I told you before, if I get up here and speak a message more, the Lord makes me live it first. He says, you're not just going to talk. You're not going to talk what I tell you to talk, but you're going to live what I tell you to talk. Because if you can't live it, you can't talk it. And if you can't talk it, then you don't need to be up here. So I'm sitting there, and I go, okay. Jeff comes over, and like I say, I haven't seen him in maybe 20 years. And we get to talking, and I find out he's part of this ministry that deals with the homeless. And he's talking about this pastor friend of his, and this is really neat. It's something that we've been talking about here in the church, and that we've been trying to do is help those people that are unfortunate enough not to be able to help themselves. And a lot of times I feel that if the church was doing what it was supposed to be doing, we wouldn't need welfare. Because the church's responsibility is to help the poor and the widows. And what do? We come in here and we sit in these pews and we listen to the Word of God, and we go out there and we don't say a word to our brothers. You don't talk to your family about it half the time. I'm not saying anyone in here, but I'm saying, a lot of Christians I know, they walk out and they don't say a word. They don't say a peep. It's not my thing, Lord. I don't speak to people about you. No. And how can the church do what it's supposed to do if we're not even talking to our families? We got to get out there. We got to do what the Lord wants us to do. If we're not doubling our talents, we're going to be like that lazy servant that says, hey, I knew you were a rough man. I know that you reap where you didn't sow, and you sow where you didn't straw. You didn't do the forework. You didn't do the groundwork, but you took the profit. So I was afraid, so I went and buried it in the sand. Isn't that like a lot of Christians today? We take our salvation, we bury it in the sand when we walk out the door. I go to work, and everybody at work knows that I preach here on Sunday nights. I let them know that. Why? Because it's part of what we're supposed to do. that opens the door so that if anyone needs, they can come talk to me. I've got one young man that I've given a couple of discs to so that he can learn. His home, he lives with his dad. His dad's a witch. Practices witchcraft. I've had a few discussions with him, and he's not really receiving of the word. So I back off. And I've talked to several people about it. And that's how we're supposed to live our lives. Not just the pastors, not the assistant pastor, not anyone behind here. It's everybody out there. You come in here, you get fed, you go out and feed the poor. Not just the poor in finances, but the poor in spirit. The poor in spirit will inherit the earth. It's our job. Are we doing our job today? You know, it was funny because if you look at it, Rich come up here and he talked about God the communicator. Now, me and Jeff were talking today. We're talking about Bible studies and, you know, communication when we're sitting down talking about God. You know, when you're sitting down talking about God, there could be a message in there just for you if you're willing to listen. Richard said, God communicates all the time in everything, all the actions. If you just pay attention and you listen and you're looking for it, God will talk to you. He'll tell you what to say, what not to say, and when to say it. He'll tell you when to shut up. He shut my mouth several times. Believe me, I've been to the woodshed at least once. You know, I'm just that type of guy. You know, it's like in Luke. You know, the rich man. Luke 12:5 through 20, or 15 through 21. Talks about a rich man. Had so much, and he didn't know what to do with all the fruits of his labor. So what did he do? He says, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to tear down my barns. I'm going to build some bigger ones. And I'm going to put all my fruit in there and all my labors. And I'm going to be set. And he said to his soul, soul, we're set for a few years so we can eat, rest, eat, drink, and be merry. Lord says, tonight your soul is required of you. Sometimes we sit in these pews and we gather up all these blessings and all this knowledge and all this wisdom, and we store it. And if we store it, and we keep storing it, and we say, we're good, the Lord might just say, your soul is required of you today. And then he's going to judge you for not sharing that which you know. Our gifts and our talents, our knowledge is not ours to keep. It's ours to share. It's ours to give. And if we're not giving, then we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. In 2 Corinthians 5:18 through 20, it tells us that we are ambassadors for Christ. The minute you say you're saved, you're a representative. You walk out those doors, they're seeing you, and they're watching you, and they're saying, they're waiting for you to fall down. They get up, you start cussing. They're waiting for you to drop down and go to the bar and say, heck with it. I ain't going to do this no more. They're watching you. And as we react to certain trials, tribulations, certain things that happen, we're representing Christ. If they're not seeing a difference in us, then they're not going to go. They're not even going to be interested. Because why should they? Why should they give up all the pleasures of the world where you can go out and get drunk and have a good time for a Christian who's going to do the same thing, but you can't have as much fun? In their eyes, why would they change? What are they seeing that's different? So we got to be careful. We've got to plant seeds, but we've got to be the example. We've got to water. Paul says, I plant the seeds, Apollos waters it, but God gives the increase. And that's the one thing we always got to remember. We may plant the seed, but God's going to increase. It's not going to be us. Pride cometh before a fall. The minute we stop being humble, we stop showing that humility, and we start thinking it's us that's doing the work, that's when we're going to fall. That's what God's going to take it from us. And then the people that you're witnessing to are going to watch you go down the tubes. And you can not only take yourself, but you can take a lot of people with you. And their blood is going to be on your hands. If you're not sharing it, and you have the opportunity, their blood, their head, could be on your hands. Because God said, I gave you the opportunity. And you didn't take it. And now this person no longer has that opportunity. I require that of you. Even in Psalms 51, 12, and 13, it says, Restore unto me the joy of thy salvation, and I will teach the transgressors thy ways. David says, you know what? I fell down. I fell down with Bathsheba. I committed a gravest sin. But Lord, I'm going to get back up. And if you restore unto me that which you have given me in the past, you give me another chance, I'm going to go out and I'm going to teach others not to fall. My life is an example of how not to do things. Period. I've done things so wrong so many times. It's crazy. And I'm willing to stand up here and say, hey, the way I did things then is not the way to do it. But I can show you the right way. I stand up here and say, if God can take me, a drunkard, a pot user, a whoremonger, one who is into pornography, who destroyed lives, if he can take me out of the gutter and wash me off and set me up here, what can he do in your lives? What can he do for you? If you just let him. If you just say one thing, Lord, if you open the door, I'm going to walk through it. And if we don't walk through that door when he opens it up, it's on our heads. We've got to be willing to do our part because the Lord's going to do his. And if we don't do it, he will find somebody else to. And beware when he does. The Lord is a loving and gracious God, but he is also a jealous God. He will also punish. The Lord chastises who he loves. You know, I've always said, when the Lord stops chastising me, that's when I get worried. Because that's when I think I've taken it one step too far. Because I'm never that good, where I don't need it every now and then. I'm not perfect. I'm going to be one of these days, but not yet. I stand up here a broken person, but God is working on me. God is fixing me up one stage at a time, one bone at a time. And when he gets done, I will be a new creature. I will be that which he wants me to be. But until then, I am what I am. God created me this way for a reason. Because maybe I can reach people that you can't. He created Jeff just the way he is. He's had his choices, but God knew where his choices would take him before he even made them. Because Jeff has a ministry of himself. And maybe he can reach people that I can't. And maybe who the pastor can. He has a testimony that is so powerful that he can tell the homeless, hey, I've been where you're at. I know what you're going through. But I tell you what, God is good. And he will bring you out of that if you just let him. Now, I can't say that. I've never been homeless. I've never, I've slept on the street one time in my life. But I